What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Winners, Wallets, and Worldviews Live. Tonight with me, I have my creative director, Michael Gehrman, and I also have Dan Spanbauer, our producer here at Armstrong Ventures. Michael is the owner of Michael Gehrman Filmworks. Dan Spanbauer is owner of Freeze and Spanbauer Solutions. Guys, tonight on the show, we got a lot of cool stuff coming at you. Quick rant, we're going to have a question right after the intro. We're also going to talk a little bit about Fire Festival on Netflix. So, with that said, guys, welcome to the show.
Welcome to Winners, Wallets, and Worldviews, the only show that's going to teach you how to be somebody.
Where in your life did you learn that you're not good enough?
Take what you're most passionate about and what you're most fearful of, and what is the plan to overcome that fear, and what is the plan to enact that passion.
So, Dan we got a couple questions this week, and we want to start off with one. So, Dan, if you wouldn't mind reading me this first question that we got.
Sure, this is from Spencer. He's really interested in the personal growth and development, being a coach. What advice would you have for him?
Okay, so we were talking a little bit about this before. There's a whole bunch of, I think this space, I don't know if this is Instagram, I don't know if this is Facebook, whatever, but I get a healthy dose of these people in my newsfeed all the time. So here's the advice that I would give you. If you're starting out in the personal growth and development business, look deep inside yourself at what your story is, okay? So what crucible moment did you go through in your life? Like, what is something that was like very difficult, super challenging, super traumatic, whatever that thing was in your life. And everybody probably has some kind of story like that. Whatever that story is, find out what that is and bring it to life. Bring it to life in your story of how you can motivate. Because what did you do to get over it? And if you're still in it, I would say don't worry about the personal growth and development side. Fight through it. Fight through that thing and get out there so you can start to tell your message. Now, the second piece is, if you don't have that crucible moment in your life yet, if you just don't have a collection of experiences under your belt, then go challenge yourself to a point where you could either fail or you could just drastically succeed. Because either one of those is going to be an awesome story for you to get out there and coach people. Because if you haven't gone through this with yourself, I don't know what you're going to go through. Because you need to be able to figure out within yourself, what did I do to overcome this? Because somebody else is going through that same exact problem somewhere. Somebody else has that thing that you can relate to. So that'd be my advice to you, man, is find out what your story is deep inside yourself. And if you don't have a story, if you can't figure out what that thing is, go do something crazy, challenging, like challenge yourself beyond belief so you can get that out. And I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but like, I don't know if this is just me, but I feel like people who don't have that real crucible experience, it's not about experience in general, it's about an individual experience that you feel can relate to someone so you can learn how to motivate them, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think you're right in the respect that, like, going out and trying to just coach people, like, if you don't have personal stories or of growth or having to overcome something, I think it would be a struggle to actually, like, really connect with somebody.
Right.
And I also, like, to that advice that you were giving, I think finding what are the type of people that you want to be coaching.
Yeah. That's a great point.
Like, I mean, like, if you think about it, like, where are your strengths?
Right.
And figuring that out, along with your story, is figuring out where are you strong and where can you really lift people up, and
Right.
where have you found success and where have you found struggle. You know, those are kind of things that you want to evaluate. Because I think just going out and being like, I'm a coach, you know, and started coaching people, I think that, you know, you're going to probably struggle to figure out exactly, like, you can figure it out along the way, but
Yep.
like, I think you'll run up against struggles.
And that's something that I ran into, and I think that's in general, like, developing that niche. Like, you know, what is that market segment you're trying to catch? So I'll give you two examples. Like, one is with coaching, and another one, I just talked to a woman today about this. So, like, for example, you say, I want to be a coach. Okay, well, what kind of coach do you want to be? And this relates back to your story, right? So what my story was, I went through a whole bunch of challenges because I wanted to be the top 1% of the 1%. So what do I want to do? I want to take people from being average, that had that average life, that got fed average information. I want to push you into greatness. I'm not the same guy that's going to say, look, I was asleep in the curb in the gutter of freaking Chicago, and I woke up and I came from this whole experience. Like, no, that's coming from like a bottomless position into something within society's norm. I'm talking about taking average people and pushing them into greatness. There's another woman, and she says, look, so I'm in that peak performance coach space. I want the top 1% performers. That's what I'm looking for. That's my niche. That's what I'm grabbing. And then I have this, this other woman that I know. She actually works with people that specifically function on body image. Women that struggle with body image coaching. They might have suffered from some kind of eating disorder or whatever. So it's like she's really capturing that problem because she struggled with that. She had a body image issue. She struggled with an eating disorder. That was her story. That was her crucible. And she was able to pull that into her story, and now she coaches people all over the place and has a huge business where she's rocked with that. And she's quite young, and she's able to do that because she has that crucible story.
Well, yeah, it's something that she has personal experience with, and then she can draw from that to help others. And I think that's where your power can come from is if you're overcoming something, your power can come from that because you have personal experience to draw from to help others. And I think that kind of experience it's not teachable. It's something you actually have to go through.
Yeah.
And I think that's the probably the hardest part about getting into this area is probably like you have to go through struggle to get there.
So that was the whole thing. It's like, hey, I had a really pretty easy life so far. I don't really have that struggle. It's like, well, then challenge yourself. Like, don't worry about getting into the personal growth and development space until you just go out there and do something crazy. I mean, it doesn't need to be crazy, but like do something challenging, like push yourself. Go try an ultra marathon. Go try a vegan diet. Go try I'm going to go start a business, or like I'm going to go invest into something. Like do something to where you're like pushing yourself out of your comfort, and through those like crazy mix of emotions, you're going to just be like, I've discovered whole new pieces of myself. And then when you get clients that are going to be going through those same experiences, you're going to be like, I was there. Here's how you can solve that problem. Like, here's what we can deliver.
Yeah, it's like here was where I hit a wall and how I overcame it. But like aside from just your personal experience, I think there's also a lot of merit in getting book knowledge on psychology and building authority and building building other people up on motivation, things like that. I think there's a whole slew of educational materials out there on how to become a coach that you could probably touch on.
And that's the thing. Like before I even like opened my mouth, right? I talked about this. Before I even opened my mouth, I had built a couple businesses, right? I have built a huge sum of wealth, right? I had done a whole bunch of these things. All those books back there, I read like 65 books or something last year. It's like all of this knowledge. I was like, where can I?
But you didn't have the one I wanted to borrow.
What do you think I am? Library?
It was like, wait, did you read this one? Do you have that one in your library?
I think there's something to say too about like when you own your story, you're starting to carve out your niche, because your story is going to be with the customers or the clients that you're trying to attract in the coaching space. Now, I'm going to give you an example too. A woman called me today, and she was asking about her. She's an event planner, and she's like, the early phase entrepreneur falls into like, I'll accept any business that's business. That's the mistake they make. And it's like the most counterintuitive thing. It's like, I'll just do anything for money. And it's like, eventually you start to fall into that prostitute or archetype, right? It's like, I'll do things that I don't want to do in exchange for money. It's like, well, then you might as well kept working on your job. So here's how you carve out your niche. I'm like, okay, let's look at the wedding planning business, right? Who are you looking for? Are you looking for corporate events? Are you looking for wedding planning? Are you looking for whatever? She's like, well, I think I'm going to stick with bridal wedding planning. That was the thing. I was like, okay, so let's look within that. Let's get super focused. Let's get laser focused on this. Who is your client? What is their income level? And she's like, well, I didn't really think about that. I was like, well, that's very different. Are you looking for these like kind of brides that are looking like I'm on a budget, I want to keep it tight, I want to rock, and then that's going to tailor your style? Or are you like, we're going to be planning these big, complex, elaborate weddings? Because now, who's your ideal who's your ideal client? Because if it's the first case, you're going to be going for directly towards that bride who's probably paying out of her pocket because it's very inexpensive and she's on a budget. Or if it's some elaborate wedding, maybe her parents are funding it. Now you're going to have to interrupt. Maybe her father's got the checkbook. Maybe he's making the decision. Maybe it's the mother that's planning these things. Are they going to be on Instagram and Pinterest the same amount, scouring the web looking for these different kinds of wedding planners? Probably not. They might be in a different space. So interrupting that channel drastically depends on how niche you want to get with your wedding. Just the income demographic changes that. Mm-hmm. And I think that was an extremely, like, she was like, oh my gosh, you're so right. I'm like, yeah. And then she's like, well, I thought about doing corporate events. I'm like, let's just stick with bridal, right? Because now you're getting into corporate events, you're gonna be spinning your wheels because you're like just reaching all over. You're gonna have no traction. You gotta get laser focused on what you want, laser focused on your client and exactly what they look like. Like, I want to know their age. I want to know their gender. I want to know their demographic, their socioeconomic class, all these different things. You want to like almost generalize and stereotype in marketing. It's the only time it's okay, right? Is because you're trying to gather as much data and you're trying to paint a general picture so your statistics have high probabilities of landing. That's the only time that's acceptable, right? And it's like, that was, I think, eye-opening to her. She was going to go all over the place, any bride that I can find. I'm like, where do you live? Pittsburgh. Okay, keep it tight. Keep it in Pittsburgh. Like, she's like, well, I could go all over the country. I'm like, just stick with Pittsburgh, right? Because if you're going all over the country, where are your resources going? How are you marketing? You know, this way you can stay connected. It's just a totally different game when you're finding that niche.
Yeah, unless if you're trying to like get into the destination wedding, niche, or like the elopement kind of niche. There's like, that's completely different. Destination wedding is a little different logistic than an elopement.
And look at like you work in weddings a lot, so like you probably know like just the drastically different personalities of brides, and the style of wedding that you can almost assume based on their personality. So
what's really funny? I actually have a question when I talk to my brides. I have a question on my initial email and communication to my brides that for some reason, this is how I connect with couples and brides. It's what kind of music do you listen to, and that fills me in on so much on their personality, because like it shows me where they're going to be, where their mind's at as far as like what kind of music do you enjoy. And
that's a great question.
It's like that's how I connect too, is a lot of times through music. And I'm also thinking of the final product when I'm making a video, is like, what kind of music are you going to enjoy in your final edit of the video? So it's a dual purpose, but it gives me so much information about those people.
Well, this is interesting too. So on the subject of music, just as like a demographic sample, a good friend of mine, he's a promoter for a very large music festival in the area, and they do multiple music fests in the summer. And one of them is a country music fest, the other one is a rock music fest. And so the rock is kind of like that hardcore, heavy metal, death metal kind of style, and the other one is like country music, kind of your pop country kind of thing. Well, so when you talk to him about how he promotes, the country music listeners are typically extremely extroverted. They're like big partiers. Like there's big groups of people. There's tons of like tailgates and all this stuff going on. They're really welcoming into groups when they go. When it's the rock people, they're very isolated. They're super quiet. They just want the music needs to be really loud. They don't want to talk to people. They don't come there to party. They come here to listen to the music and just get into it. So it's like super introverted culture. So when you market, knowing those different things, you're gonna want to market parties like socialization, all this other stuff. When you're talking about the rock audience, you're going strictly for the music. You're going for not the experience, but you're going for the quality of the style. That's what they're immersing themselves in.
Yeah, and it's all generalization. It's not like not every country music fan is this way, or
that's
not every that's what you. But like that, you get the feel of the market. So.
Right. So you can know who you hit. So to answer the question in a long way is, number one, I'd say look deep within the experiences that you have. So like when I started speaking and all these types of going to events, it's like I had to really reflect on like what stories do I have to tell, like from my personal experiences. And it's like you find out when you can just take some silence and listen to your soul, you have all these different stories you can bring up that can relate and help people. So I would say for sure do that. And then the second one is, if you don't have enough stories, make some memories, make some stories, go create experiences, travel more, get out there more, volunteer more, work for people for free, go take jobs that you don't know or understand that you want to learn. Those are great ways you can start to gather these experiences in your life. And I think it's not just about experience in general, it's about the quality of your experiences. There's a great quote that says it's not about the amount of years in your life, it's the amount of life in your years. And I think that's the same way when it comes to experience. I'll take a dude that has 1 year of experience that's done all sorts of crazy cool things and has just breadth of knowledge than somebody that's just been around for 30 years doing the same thing, punching widgets all day. It's totally different. So that's the long-winded answer to your question, Spencer. Thank you for the question. So with that said, I think we want to transition real quickly here into Fire Festival on Netflix, which I think most people have the opportunity to see this. It's been on Netflix a while, and it was a documentary about these dudes that it was like some kind of like software company that was supposed to help promote music. And what they were going to do is they were going to like launch this software company on an island in the Caribbean with this crazy party back in like 2016 or something.
Yeah, it was a while ago. So like the main character that this surrounds on the Netflix documentary, and I might be confusing the two because Hulu also did a documentary on
I think
this.
Prime did one too.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, it generated so much buzz because, and I think for me this was like the parting piece from all the documentaries was how much power that social influencers had.
Yeah.
To promote this event because the lead character is like having like these crazy popular supermodels promote the Fire Festival to promote this app, which was basically the app premise was a great idea, and I think the Netflix one does a better job of showing the app development side, like the people that actually worked on the stuff because they had no idea about the festival. It's like what's going on with the festival, and they're doing all this work, and it's like, but the app development was like they're trying to work out on how you can like book A-list talent. Yeah. Like for your party, like say you're a wealthy, family, and for your
daughter's having a big ass Sweet 16. What's a big band these days?
You want Drake to play?
Was it Kiss? Is Kiss still around? He's still around.
Yeah. We were talking about music before. I'd be like, you listen to Kiss?
Yeah, you really want to book Kiss? Go to this Fire app or whatever. But
yeah, I mean, the premise was, I think, was great. Like, it was, the idea was great. Like having access to these artists, but like figuring it out was just a logistical nightmare. And then trying to get these artists to like a remote destination, to do the performances.
Yeah, so they wanted to go. So they wanted to have this big music festival on a random island in the Caribbean, where they were going to bring in all these influencers and they were going to put them up in these like little cabins they built and all this crazy stuff within like a ridiculously short timeline. And then the budget just got out of control. And this dude, I won't forget the quote in the Netflix documentary. He's just like, "No, we are a solution-based company." And I remember we were talking about this because it's like, that's a great motto to have as a company. But at what point is it like, you got to be like realistic about when to stop?
The Delusion, it was amazing to see that it's like he's like, this is still gonna happen. This is still gonna happen. We're making it happen. And like, you need to swallow your pride at some point and say, okay, we need to cancel this. Cut because there's too many logistical things going wrong. Because like, first of all, they lost the island. Like they couldn't perform on the island they originally were going to. Yeah.
It was Pablo Escobar's island.
Yeah, it was Pablo Escobar.
And these idiots are like, hey, whatever you do, don't tell them this is Pablo Escobar's island. Whatever
don't
you do,
say this.
Don't put this in your video you're marketing.
And it was right in the video.
Pablo Escobar's island.
They did so many things.
You had one rule.
Yeah, they did so many things. Like it was like the marketing came before the actual logistics of the festival, and they kept going, saying, it'll work itself out, and it never did. And then they created a no-win situation for the people that show up. Yeah. And then like, I mean, granted, the people that went, they had the highest of hopes, but you're putting your faith in all these social influencers saying go to this festival. You also got to look at like, what are they getting paid to say this? Yeah. I had heard something about like how much like Kim Kardashian gets paid per post or whatever. Like they get paid, like social influencers get paid a lot.
Wasn't Kylie Jenner or something?
Yeah, Kylie Jenner I think was one.
They gave her $200,000 to make an orange post.
Yeah, exactly. Like so, all these people making it was a great marketing tactic. Yeah. To interrupt, like that's what I think was lost in this was that the Fire Festival had great marketing, and they did some really cool marketing things, but they failed to deliver the product. Right. And that's the biggest fail. Is like if they would have been able to deliver the product, it would have been amazing.
So in the subject, what that is called in marketing is that's called a marketing gap. Is when you have an expectation of delivery, or they have the expectation you've psychologically prompted the people, this is what you're going to be getting, and you fail to deliver. That's called a marketing gap. And there's ways of managing those gaps, but the idea is in marketing, as long as you meet the expectations, you're good. Now, at our company, we try to exceed the expectations, but as long as you see something and you see this is what I can expect, this is what's going on, and then you deliver it, they're like, yeah, that's what I paid for. That's good.
Yeah.
There's no marketing gap there. But when the marketing is so far beyond what you can deliver to, then you create a marketing gap. And that creates PR nightmares. That creates customer service problems. That creates all sorts of problems within your business.
Yeah,
So-
basically we watched the documentary so we didn't repeat what they did for St. Lucia.
Yeah, so ironically on that note, we started planning this retreat in the
We're
Caribbean.
like, let's not do this. Let's not do that.
Well, so let's go differently with how we planned this retreat, right? So the number one thing we did was we took the most reputable travel agency in the state of Wisconsin is managing our entire back end of this, right?
Yeah.
So we have like a legitimate travel agency that's making sure everybody's getting to the right place, everybody's got everything they need. We partnered with the resort. We're not just sending people to Pablo Escobar's island with freaking
that we don't
tents.
have permission.
Like how easy would that have been to solve? Like that's what I was thinking. I'm like, why didn't you just like partner with a resort? You're expecting to have 1,000 people there. You
Yeah.
just book 1,000 rooms, or you rent a certain portion of the hotel. Like those deals are not uncommon. That's what we did.
Well,
We just
what-
said, look, here's a room block.
Yeah, exactly. They promised something that they thought they had, but it was, and then they lost it. That was the thing, and then they wanted to still deliver on what they had promised, but there was no feasible way of doing
Right.
that. So-
It's like it's like in business, it's just specialization, right?
Yeah.
So you have hotels that literally their one thing is how do we kiss ass with hospitality? Like how do we deliver and make you feel as comfortable and warm and happy as possible? You're gonna set up some tents and you're gonna
Yeah.
expect to deliver that same amount of quality?
Yeah.
Like my pillow's not fluffed. It's like tough shit. That's what like somebody who's promoting a festival would say. But it's like a hotel would say, "Oh, well, I can put a chocolate on there. We'll send
Yeah.
somebody to your room immediately, no problem, sir."
Taking care of things, I think, is a big part of hospitality, and I think that the partnering with the resort and everything that we're doing for this St. Lucia retreat, I think those are the things that they should have done. You know,
Right.
like,
Like it's not that hard. Like follow these like established institutions. Like make strategic partnerships.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. We're like, we got a travel agency. We partnered with a resort. We partnered with an excursion or like an adventure host for all of our tours and excursions. Like on the ground, local. It's just like all these things came together. It's like a super professional experience. So it's like I actually put that on one of our FAQs on the website because like right when we like rolled all this stuff out, this documentary comes out, and so it's like one of the FAQs. Is this going to be like the Fire Festival?
No.
on Netflix? It's like no, and here's why. Here's why. It's going to be a professional. It's really professionally managed. It's totally organized. And the fact is,
well,
too,
and
it's
we're
like,
starting small too. We're not like trying to get 1,000 people.
Yeah.
To come here.
At least
I mean,
this first one.
At least, yeah, I know that's just it. Like we're not trying to get like a huge. It's not like a festival that we're trying to organize with like thousands of people. It's like this is going to be content that you're going to come walk away from with a lot of education and
Right.
and good experience between like actually like the people that are on the trip, because we wanted to be able to create an experience where you're able to network closely with these people, because you're going to be experiencing some really like hard things like the
strong emotions.
yeah,
right?
the cliff jumper.
The
I'm a
cliff
little
jump's
worried
gonna be
about that
wild.
one. So
Yeah. And you're gonna have to do it too because we're
Yeah.
anything for the shot.
yeah,
So-
yeah, exactly.
So Mike,
he's gonna strap a GoPro to me. And
so Mike and my business model, or our what do you call it? Our production philosophy.
oh yeah,
is,
yeah.
is anything for the shot.
What were we doing then? I can't remember.
It was a purple flag and a red flag in the water.
Oh, that's right. That's right. The tie. Yeah,
It was
the way.
purple and red. So
Yeah, we're
like,
like, okay,
there's
you might
jellyfish
get
and sharks in here.
you might get swept
and
away in
riptides.
that riptide.
And I'm just like, Mike, I don't know if this is ethical
Yeah.
or not. But anything for the shot.
Yeah.
So we just go in the water.
I think I was flying my drone at that point. So
Yeah, you were good. You were safe. But I just look at Mike like anything. For
I
the
wasn't
shot.
in the water.
We're freaking actors, too,
Yeah.
But it was awesome. So yeah, I mean, the Fire Festival I thought was hilarious because this guy is just like so disconnected from reality. Like at one point you're a visionary, but we always talk about when you can't ground your vision into actual reality.
Yeah, what's
right?
actually happening.
And there's two extremes that people identify with. There's the visionary, and there's the people that are so grounded they can't see the next step. They're so in the weeds they can't lift their head up and understand their surroundings. And awareness.
Yeah, they have there's ability of metacognition,
Right.
basically to imagine something instead of like, and some people are so realistic they can't. They
have no imagination.
Yeah, they just don't have that capacity to or they're not as skilled at metacognition. So
Right.
it's just not. In
So
their
like
skill
I'd
set.
say 75% of the entrepreneurs I work with are in that visionary side.
Mm-hmm.
They're like They're like, here's how the world could be. This is where we can go. And this is all the things that can happen. And there's just ideas all over the place. And what I specialize in is like, okay, dude, here, grab one, pull it down to earth, drive it into the ground until it's so freaking real that you can stand on it, build a staircase to the next idea, grab that one, throw it down, and climb. That's the goal. And it's like, but it takes like, hey, like I worked with a client for 1.5 years before I'm like, get all this crap out of your life. This is your purpose. This is your meaning. This is your why. And like a couple weeks ago, he like sunk into it. This is a real story, guys. Real result story. A couple weeks ago, he sunk into it. He's like, look, here's what I want to do. He started his business. 4 days later, he had $10,000 of bookings. Wow. His whole next month was paid. And he was just laid off from his job. And
that's where the motivation.
And that he's like,
it's like now I have a fire.
He's like, dude, what do I do? I'm like, you sink into your purpose right now. Here's the time. Let's go. And he's like, all right, let's do it. Sinks into his purpose. 4 freaking days later, $10,000 of bookings because he decided to stick with it. He decided to sink into it, ruled all that other crap out of his life. And it's like, these are the things that can happen when you get that aligned with yourself, you know? And it's like, but it took, hey, he's like, hey, idea. I'm like, grab this one. This is the most aligned. Pull it down to earth. Journal on these. Don't lose them. Just journal on them, document them, remember them, bookmark them, Evernote them. That's fine. Put them over here. And then stick with this. Drive this one to the end. That's what you got to do. But this dude, on freaking fire, man, was just too off.
He was too visionary, and then became delusional because he wasn't willing to accept reality. And that, I think, the Hulu one actually goes into a little bit more after what he tried to do after he was trying to dig himself out of it. Because he, not only did he fail to deliver on the festival, he swindled a lot of investors out of money. Like there was a lot of fraudulent things that he did. It's claiming he owned so much shares of Facebook and things like that. Like that was just straight up that's fraud, thievery, And then he's trying to get out of it, and he did it again. Kind of like, which I thought was like, okay, you're under the most scrutiny of your life right now because you're going over this through this investigation and how you've basically committed fraud to get all this money out of these investors, and it's like now he's doing it again.
Yeah,
like it's like, okay, now there's something wrong.
It's like, are you not learning?
Yeah,
from
it's
your mistakes,
like okay, there's something.
Not from your mistakes.
What did he do? Didn't he take the emails?
He took the email list from the Fire Festival.
Right, to
started emailing them
about fake tickets. Like, oh, here's 5 tickets to the Masters. Here's 5 tickets.
Yeah.
And people actually, he made a bunch of money back.
Dude,
he didn't have the tickets. Yeah, it's towards the end of the film.
Oh yeah, you're right.
That's how he got some of his money back, where he could. Why he was like in these
Here's
high-rise condos and stuff like that.
Just complete lie.
Yeah, just complete lying.
Flat out lying about stuff.
He did it twice.
I mean, it is a documentary too, so we don't have all the facts.
Yeah, that's true. Again,
people just paint these one-sided documentaries. We don't know. I mean, this is one case, some evidence. We don't know.
Well, the court system
some of that.
put him right in the
some
jail.
of it, yeah.
Where is he at now?
5 or 6 years in prison, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's worth it. How about this? How about this for Dan? This is a question for you.
Okay.
Would you compromise your ethics, your reputation, and 5 to 6 years in prison so you could go make that video with a bunch of supermodels?
I would. If I could live like he did for a year, I should say yes for sure, but it would cross my mind.
I would not, but thanks, Dan.
Yeah,
that's why I'm a producer.
Good to know where you're at, Dan.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I mean, I thought that was just wild. So that was the fire documentary. That's some analysis. How do you think the documentary was made, just in general? Like, how was the quality of the film?
I was just thinking about that on the way over. I was like, the people that did the documentary had to have gone to the festival, like actually bought tickets. So I'm wondering if even they're out the money too.
Oh,
so the
vengeance.
Yeah, I was like, I wonder how. Like, so that's the other thing is like how they painted the documentary is like how much money they lost on it. Well, I mean, they're not really losing. Now they have content that they're putting out there and making money.
But don't you wonder, like, they also had to be like a human and say, this is going bad. More people shouldn't come. Like, they saw it before a lot of these people.
As the documentary artist, it's like, at what point are you like, okay, you're putting people at like
I don't even
safety risk.
I don't even think I would have been pissed. I think I would have thought it was hilarious. I would have been like, oh my gosh, because here's what would have happened. Marissa would have convinced me to go to this place, and then I would have just blamed the whole thing on her. I would have been like, "Marissa, are you kidding me?" And then it would have been a huge fight. That's how that would have gone. But you see, the thing is, I mean, at what point our influencer is going to just like dictate everything. Like, you know, like presidential elections, like everything else, you know, it's like, when is Kylie Jenner going to be president? I mean,
well, I mean, I think that was, I think, the good lesson from those documentaries is like how much power we give social influencers, and how like, but like, so social influencers, like, well, it used to be your friend. It used to be like, you know, word of mouth. But now that, you know, Instagram has created these like Insta famous people, you know, it's like
any Joe Schmo now
anybody, like, and that's, I feel like it's a huge danger, because it's like, do you know these people really?
Yeah.
And like, it's like people are trying to navigate by connecting to like, well, this person likes a lot of the things that I like.
150,000 followers.
Yeah,
so
it has a lot of influence, a lot of clout. I'm going to listen to that person.
And, you know, I've gotten criticized for this too. It's like, you know, what do I know? And it's like, true, what do I know? Like, question what I'm saying. Like, go back and do your own knowledge. Like, get back in the Bible and read your own stance on morals and ethics. Like, don't listen to me all the time. Like, you know, I have a certain opinion on stuff, but it's just an opinion like everything else. And I have my good reasons for it, and I'll shut you down in an argument. But it's like, there's probably a lot of good people who disagree. We were disagreeing before talking about what we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
You know,
it's like, what are we going to talk about?
Yeah, it's like, you know, all those types of things.
This is all unscripted.
And I think that the moral of the story is like, people, wake up. Like, honestly, wake up. Think for yourself. Critique things for yourself. Don't just let your news feed pump in and control your mind. Don't just let me control your mind. Don't just let the media control your mind. Don't let influencers control your mind. Wake up, read your own sources, go to primary sources, go to books, pit people's opinions against each other. Critically think and formulate your own decisions in your life. That's how you're going to get out of this thing. And I think that's really the best message when this whole thing comes to it. So, guys, that's about all we have time for today. I do want to remind you all, if you go to personalgrowthventures.com, you can experience a real freaking fire festival that we're putting on. It's not going to be a fire festival. I don't even want to associate myself with that freaking guy.
Maybe stop doing that.
So we're going to talk about personalgrowthventures.com. You guys can go and you can come on our retreat with us. It's going to be an incredible experience where you're going to learn a lot about yourself. You're going to have experiences within yourself that you're not going to be able to get anywhere else. We're going to create emotions. We're going to create those memories. We're going to create those experiences that we talked about so you can have your own crucible moments. So that's all I had for you guys tonight. Welcome to Winners Waltz Worldviews. That's all we got. Good night. What's up, everybody? This is your host, AJ Armstrong. You can follow me on Instagram at AaronArmstrong33. That's Aaron Armstrong 33, or you can go to my website, aaronjarmstrong.com. Thanks so much for listening through to the end. I wanted to also introduce you guys to our Facebook community. So you can go to Winners Waltz Worldviews on Facebook, and it's a group where we can offer, you know, different opportunities for you guys to ask questions. If you have a Q&A or something in your business or a challenge in your life that you want to bring up, that's the community to ask it. And then I can also share that with all of our listeners on our social media platforms. The final thing I wanted to share with you guys is something that Marissa and I have been so excited for. It's been really chomping at me to freaking tell you guys. And it's our Personal Growth Ventures Retreat. So our Personal Growth Ventures Retreat is going to be located on the island of St. Lucia. It's going to be a business seminar combined with personal growth and development. And we're also adding in something nobody else has ever done in a seminar that I've heard of. And that's fitness and adventure. So these are the things that are going to help push us to our limits. It's going to help us break through our fears. And these adventures are going to be one of a kind. If you want to find out more about what our adventures entail, what's going to be involved in the education session, and where this is all going to be happening and when, you can go to our website, personalgrowthventures.com. That's personalgrowthventures.com. It's also going to be located in the show notes. So with that said, guys, thanks so much for listening through to the end. Once again, go be somebody.